Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thanks so much for joining me here. We're going to take another look at Sandbox, and just before we do, quick peek at Bitcoin so we know exactly what's going on with this awesome coin. And I say that sarcastically just because it's obviously selling off. We got basically a death cross occurring on the 4-hour charts. And if we look at the 1-day chart, you can see that we definitely lost the 50-day simple moving average. So not much of a support level there. I believe the death cross will have more impact and push the price down to kind of go obviously sub 58,000. We're already there, but perhaps even as low as 52 to 54. If so, I recommend considering adding some limit orders right around 54,000, somewhere along those lines. I have some up myself just to ensure that I get filled if the price were to, candlestick really low, or the wick goes really low and then jumps right back up. But these are two buy zones effectively, and the price should bounce from one of these two zones. So just bear that in mind. There's a chance we might see the price continue further. So that's where Bitcoin's at right now. So all in all, not great, down 5% on the day, which is terrible considering, because 5% for Bitcoin is like 10% for most altcoins, right? So I'm sure you have a nice red little little altcoin bag there, at least on the 24-hour. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the Sandbox here. And just before we do, if you are new to the channel, just know I'm not a financial advisor. I just love teaching people how to become better traders. I've been doing it for many years. I've been trading for over 15, and my goal is to help you become a better trader. That's why I created this community. I also have a trading community as well. Link in the description below if you want to kind of get a leg up, become a better trader. I share every single trade that I take with my members. Right now, the amount of trades I'm taking is very little, if at all, based on the simple fact that Bitcoin is suffering. Why jump in unless you're planning to short a bunch? I don't like to short often in a bull market, right? So that's a different story later. But regardless, that's kind of where we're at here for now. So 1-day chart on Sandbox. Let's take a look. So we've had 3 strong green candles. This candle wick, of course, has had very large wicks on top and bottom. But for lack of better terms, we're still 3 strong green days. And just keep in mind, traditionally speaking, that's referred to as 3 white soldiers. Obviously, they would usually have shorter candle wicks, but generally speaking, if you have 3 strong green days, you can expect a 4th day to follow, being red. Okay, so just note that Sandbox could very well have a red day tomorrow. It's not a guarantee, but I think candlestick patterns are oftentimes more accurate than not. So just bear that in mind. That could happen. Now keep this in mind too. We have a large candle wick here already. It could have had the correction that needed to in order to continue to progress to the upside. So there's that as well. All right, so we're back up over 70 on the RSI. I love it. That's great. That's working as a support level. Obviously, we broke our all-time high very hard yesterday. And again, here today, so far, we are on the up and up. So to those of you who took heed and took my advice and added to your position when the price bounced off of the previous resistance level / current support, the all-time high, then you obviously would have reaped some profits here. Again, depending on when you had sold, but that was upwards about an extra 17% in the last 24 hours. So definitely good stuff there. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart, see what's going on here. And of course, this little squiggly line that I drew before, just so you know, is basically that's a resistance channel. That was effectively the all-time high. And then, of course, right here, we had this high, basically the all-time high, and then the previous one-time high close. So in other words, we have this little channel here that was broken. Once it broke, it came down to rest at support, you can see, and then it took off again. So again, buying the dip whenever the price breaks an all-time high, comes back down and kind of hangs out for a couple of hours at the previous resistance level, this is a good consideration to add to your position, because anytime an all-time high is broken and you essentially establish that new support, it creates a stronger support level, and the price is more likely to increase. You're much better off investing in all-time highs for any single coin versus trying to find a coin that has 10x potential because it's down super low from where it came from, right? This is a much better option, if that makes any sense. Now, is it overextended right now? Yeah, it appears to be. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Look at that. We got a bright 9 followed by 2 or 3 neon candlesticks here. So what that basically just means is the simple fact of the matter, we had well over 4 hours of, well over 9 candlesticks worth of 4-hour bullish momentum, right? So we're looking at what that would be 36 hours straight of bullish momentum. The price should have went sideways and came down. Instead, it came down and bounced off of the support, the previous resistance, all-time high, and continued upwards. This happens more often than not. So now that we're here, we are at a state of exhaustion, so we cannot overlook that. The likelihood of the price coming back down, retracing, if nothing else, consolidating, moving forward is very high. I wouldn't expect a large pump from Sandbox in the near future, unless it's that knee-jerk reaction with all the money coming away from Bitcoin. People are selling, that dominance receding, and of course that amount of extra capital going into coins like these that are taking off still. There is that potential. That phenomenon does occur sometimes. So we'll see if that happens. But bottom line, we're above both moving averages, which is great. RSI is up over 70, but look at that, coming right back down to 70. That's perfect. That's a perfect place in which you typically want to sell your position. So watch my RSI video if you've seen that. Obviously, you know that the general rule of thumb on the 4-hour chart for the RSI is to essentially trim or sell your position when it's coming back down to 70, not when it's leaving 70 or coming up, right? So that's just kind of something to consider. So that's just a big picture there for Sand on the 4-hour chart. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the 1 hour and see what the cloud is telling us here. We're obviously well above the cloud. We can see that. But why don't we go ahead and see what the lagging span and the conversion lines are telling us. So lagging span is lagging. Obviously, it doesn't tell us that we want to sell just yet. And we can see the conversion lines. This is still above, below. And just so you know, too, if you're kind of trying to figure out what I mean by that, the conversion line is what I've colored as a blue line. It's the one that's a faster moving average. When that one's above, it's still considered to a hold. You still want to hold. When the baseline, basically the orange line here, is below, that's essentially considered still a buy signal. Not buy signal. It's still considered a hold signal, right? So if you're in this position and you want to kind of consider holding, you're good. But once this blue line comes down and intersects with the orange, then it's considered a sell signal, or this guy comes over and hits this line here, or one of the candlesticks, and that's a close consideration as well. So long story short here, Ichimoku Cloud is not telling us to sell our signal just yet, or to give us a sell signal just yet, based on the simple fact that it still has that momentum. But just bear in mind, we've already identified that momentum is overextended on TD sequential on the 4-hour. And let's actually see what it looks like on the 1 hour. Same story, right? We got up toward 9 and we hit a reset here. Now we're in a state of consolidation. So that basically just means that we should see some sideways action. It doesn't necessarily mean the price is going to come crashing back down. If it does, then obviously identify that and use the Ichimoku Cloud and kind of make sure to wait for this line to intersect with this one. As soon as that does, you close your position, okay? But for right now, we're all set and good to go. So for lack of better terms, to kind of make it simple for you and to summarize, we should expect some consolidation if nothing else. If the price does retrace back down, it'll come down to bounce off of 361 as a strong likelihood. The reason why, because that was a previous all-time high. Now it's established itself as a strong support level. We have this support zone as well with the previous all-time high, right at about 345. So 345 to 361, extremely strong support channel. So heaven forbid the price were to come back down and we lose that extra 10%, you could probably consider adding to your position right around 360 and be just fine. Okay. Again, now if Bitcoin goes down to 52,000, we can expect Sandbox to probably have a slight retracement even further. Okay. It could even come and break into the zone of about 345 to 362. That could happen, right? We don't truly know, but Sandbox has proven to be very, very effective, I guess you could say. Sorry, based on a simple fact that when Bitcoin sells off, it doesn't tank, right? It's done very well, and we can look at that here as well. Sorry, I got to put our fingers today. Look at November 10th here, right? For example, that's the first major Bitcoin sell-off. Oh, we got to take a look at KuCoin here. All right, yeah, so taking a look here, though, just if you look at November 10th, right, you can see that major sell-off come down to test support, bounce right back. But that wasn't like a terrible, terrible retracement. That was pretty insignificant compared to most other coins, right? We can see the same thing as well here recently with the recent sell-off from Bitcoin. It's done nothing but come up, right? So it'll have that first initial knee-jerk reaction, and then it bounces back. Right now, that's a potential knee-jerk reaction right now because it would probably be continuing upwards if Bitcoin wasn't coming down as well. So for lack of better terms, just note that Sandbox, I feel, is not going to be the kind of coin to just drop its bottom. I think the bottom now is right in between 345 and 360. So it would not hurt to just consider dollar cost averaging anywhere between 345 and the current price action and just continue to add to your portfolio as you move forward. That's just kind of the big picture because Sandbox it doesn't look like it's going anywhere, right? It's established itself and done very, very well, in the against all odds, I guess you could say, right? So let's go with the better case scenario here. Again, this same Fibonacci retracement lines are still effective. I can redraw some new ones based on the recent dip, but for the most part, within the last 2 to 2.5 weeks, we've seen the price action increase a total of about 188%. Okay. Now to get that extra, roughly just say 25%, we're going to need to see, obviously, a little bit of consolidation followed by an increase. But for lack of better terms, we're looking at about 550 as a strong potential for the next week. I would say that that is very likely. Could even be 2 weeks, just depending on the impact of Bitcoin and how that works, right? If all the market capitalization comes from Bitcoin, transitions into coins like these, Sandbox, etc., then we're going to see the price continue well past 550. But I would say the short-term goal is about 550 for Sandbox within the next week. And just note that if you can add to your position between 345 and 360, or just say even upwards of $4, you're going to still be in good shape. Okay, so that's just my consideration there. I'm extremely bullish on Sandbox. It took me a little while to warm up to it, but it's it just based on how well it's been responding and recovering to the way that Bitcoin is behaving lately, tells me a lot about how good this coin is. And those are things you want to kind of try to understand as well. So hopefully you found benefit here. This didn't provide more questions and answers. I hope that I was able to give you some guidance, perhaps. If you want better, more, in-depth dive on specific scenarios like this, feel free to join my Patreon community, where I work with a lot of amazing people across the globe, and we all work together to become better traders, right? It's a really cool trading community. And I do share my signals with my community members as well, albeit less signals lately, just based on the sheer fact that Bitcoin's taken a crap. We're still doing well. We're still surviving, having a lot of fun doing it. So thanks again for your time. We'll look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.